Wow. Yeah. Just wow. I've I've watched the Capitals since 1982. I have watched them fail. Now, people will point out, well, the Capitals they've beaten the Penguins before, yeah, once. The Capitals have been to the finals before. They didn't play Pittsburgh that year. This has been the most lopsided rivalry in hockey, and I'm including Montreal and Boston in there, even though that one's been pretty one-sided too. In the first period of this game, there was no scoring. Second period, Chason scores his first from Nathan Walker. Congratulations to Nathan Walker on being the first Aussie to get a point in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And Jay Beagle with an assist. Letang tied it with his third from Dumoulin and Crosby, and I was I will admit, swearing a little bit at the TV. Then in the third, I was swearing a lot at the TV. There's no scoring. Kuznetsov was making me angry. He had a really good shot, and he hesitated. There's a lot of hesitating by the Caps. They seem to be squeezing their sticks a little harder than they had been in the first period. Once Pittsburgh tied that game, there was a lot of tension. The Washington Capitals clearly were rattled. Their passes weren't very crisp. They had some passes that were really ill thought out. Brian Rust had a couple of opportunities there that I thought he was going to take advantage of. Malkin, Kessel, some guys that I really thought were ready to take this over. Then it goes into overtime, and all I can think is, well, the Caps and the Penguins in overtime means the Caps have heartbreak. Often, it's heartbreak. The Pittsburgh Penguins have repeatedly destroyed the Capitals in overtime. This is where they like it. I have been hoping for this, and I'm admitting that flat out, and I'll explain why. Kuznetsov scores his seventh of the playoffs on a beautiful pass from Ovechkin. And when Ovechkin made that pass and Kuznetsov was on the break, I lost my mind. And when the puck went in, I kind of hesitated for a moment because I thought, did that really go in? Like they said, scores, and the crowd went quiet, and all I could think was, did this really just happen? Did the Capitals really do this? And I kept waiting for replays. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, something's going to happen that this goal isn't going to count. There was no fighting over it. Mike Sullivan's not asking for a replay on any of it. Game over. Holtby with 21 saves on 22 shots. He was amazing. Murray with 28 saves on 30 shots. And yes, Matt Murray did allow a goal on Chason that really shouldn't have gone through him. But the fact is, he shut the door in the third period, and Matt Murray played very well in this game. The Washington Capitals have now advanced to the next round. And the reason I'm excited is more than just a matter of the Penguins being out, which I think is fun. Because, honestly, over the last week, all I've read is, we know we're going to beat the Caps. This was important. I understand that a dynasty is big, and Brian Burke said going into overtime that in the hard cap era, 2 cups in a row should be considered a dynasty. And I can't argue with that. Dynasties are fun. But the Capitals have never won a Stanley Cup. Tampa has one Stanley Cup to their name. Obviously, Vegas has never won a Stanley Cup. Neither Nashville nor Winnipeg have won a Stanley Cup. We have a very good chance of having a Stanley Cup final between hungry teams that have never tasted from the Stanley Cup. Yeah, Tampa has one Stanley Cup. That was 14 years ago. So we're in a position now where these conference finals are going to be special. And right away people are like, oh, well, Capitals won't get past Tampa. They weren't supposed to get past Pittsburgh. I've been reading for a week and a half how they're not going to get past Pittsburgh. I did not pick the Capitals to get past Pittsburgh. Very few did. And those that did and had the faith in Washington, you know what? You guys deserve all the credit. You guys deserve the kudos for not doubting. I've been saying the whole series, this series looks like Washington should win it, but it's Washington, so I'm not taking them to win it. I can't believe it. I won't believe it. They won, and they won in Pittsburgh. That doesn't happen. What we witnessed tonight doesn't happen. I watched an interview with Alex Ovechkin after the game. I have never seen Ovechkin smile that big. I have never seen Alex Ovechkin in the playoffs that happy. So when people say, oh, well, it doesn't matter if they beat Pittsburgh, go watch that interview between Christine Simpson and Alex Ovechkin. See that smile on his face, and then come back and tell me it doesn't mean anything. We have listened for years about how Ovechkin can't beat Crosby. Do you know who else has listened to that for years? Ovechkin. He beat Crosby. He did it. And he did it. This is Ovi's goal. Kuznetsov finished it off. Ovi with the pass. Ovi with the pass. And that's where Alex Ovechkin now is smarter than he was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, he takes that puck by himself, and he tries to go through both Pittsburgh defenders. He recognizes Kuznetsov coming up the ice, and it's a better opportunity for him than it would have been for himself. He passes to Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov makes up for his brain fart in the third period and buries the puck behind Matt Murray. I have not cheered that loud watching a hockey game in a long time. And it's if I feel that weight off the Capitals after this win, I can only imagine how Braden Holtby, Barry Trotz, who Capitals fans were all ready to fire him during the first round. You're not firing him now. Trotz isn't going anywhere. He's staying for at least one more year. Because the Capitals just beat the Penguins. I was nervous in the second period when the Penguins changed their lines. And they put Kessel and Malkin together. They put Crosby and Hornqvist together. And right away they took over the game. And I was like, oh, crap. Here we go. And then they tied it. And I was like, okay, this is the narrative. This is how it works. This is when they take over. And no. Ovi said no. Holtby said no. The Capitals collectively as a team said no. And big kudos to the role players for the Capitals. And Stevenson, who tipped that puck in, played a decent game outside of the moment where he tipped the puck into his own net. The Capitals had to finish this tonight. If the Penguins win this one in overtime, the Penguins probably win the series. But they didn't. And that didn't happen. And I understand that as a hockey guy who talks about all 31 teams, you know, Penguins fans may very well be upset to hear me openly saying I'm glad the Capitals won. But the Penguins have won 2 Stanley Cups in a row, and if you look at videos from 2 years ago when the Penguins won the Stanley Cup in 2016, I congratulated them. I was very happy for them. 2017, a little bit less so. And I admit that. And this year I'm like, okay, that's enough. Somebody else should lift the Stanley Cup. And the Capitals, I can identify with them as a Canucks fan. And to me, the Capitals and the Penguins sort of feels like when I watched Vancouver against Chicago. And when Vancouver finally beat Chicago in 2011, I felt this incredible euphoria. And yet, Vancouver's frustration against Chicago was nothing compared to what the Capitals have put up with from Pittsburgh. Nothing. Vancouver had the win over the Chicago Blackhawks in '82, and then they struggled against them a few more times when they met them. But it wasn't anything like this matchup where it was 9 out of 10. This is a huge win for the Washington Capitals as an organization, for these players. And if you want to see John Carlson take a discount to stay with the Capitals, this is the kind of run they needed. Yeah, Tampa might destroy him. Tampa might sweep him. Tampa might take him out in 5. They beat the Penguins. For tonight, for right now, nobody can touch the Capitals and how this feels for this entire team. Again, whether they win in the next round or not, it's important that they do their best, and it would be fantastic to see them and Tampa duke it out and go to 7. But tonight, they beat the Penguins. And they won 2 out of 3 games missed by Tom Wilson. Maybe losing Tom Wilson and having Jakub Vrana playing a bigger role in last game and this one, maybe that helped. Whatever they did worked. So there you go. There was 1 penalty for each team in the first period, and they called nothing after that, which favored, I think, both teams on different occasions. Couple of moments there where I thought Pittsburgh could have got a penalty. Couple moments there where I thought Washington could. I am very grateful to the referees for letting the players decide it on the ice. And I don't normally say that. Caps win the series in 6. And we'll see them in round 3. And we haven't said that in a very, very, very long time. So congratulations to them. And we'll see what they do in round 3.